Hey crafty friends, it's Joy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to be sharing Yana Smakula's Let's Celebrate collection with Spellbinders. I have all of the products from her release. There is 7 products in this collection. I am making 6 cards with this. It is going to be a longer video, but I promise you it is well worth it. So I'm going to go over the products first, and then we're going to get into making the cards. So most of this is using the Better Press system. This is the Floral Celebration, and then there's also a coordinating stencil, but you can just get this Better Press plate by itself. This is the Peony background. Then you have the Let's Celebrate sentiment, and this you get to stamp in 2 separate stamping sessions, I guess, with a little guide to help you. This is the Let's Celebrate sentiments, and there's some coordinating dies. Then you have that Peony celebration die here, and then the wax seal stamp that says Let's Celebrate. So I'm going to use all of these on 6 different cards. Let's start with the Floral Celebration plate, and this has the coordinating stencil. I am using the cotton cardstock that works best with these plates, and I'm using that in porcelain. I'm attaching my plate to the magnetic board here. I'm using Better Press inks. I'm using black ink on this. I have 2 black inks, and I was trying to figure out which one is juicier than the other. But I'm going to ink this up really good, and I'm going to take my time because I want to get a nice, good impression for this background. Again, I'm going to be using the coordinating stencil with this panel, but again, you can get this separately. I do have everything listed and linked for you guys below in the description. I do have some affiliate links, but it costs you guys nothing to use. But if you want to grab some of these products, they are down in the description below. So I ran that through my die cut machine, and it just gently presses the plate down from the top down, and just you get this really beautiful stamped image. Lots of good fine detail is created with the Better Press system. Now I'm going to use the coordinating stencils. I think there is 6 stencils that go with this. I'm going to go with some red and yellow flowers. I think that's a fun color combination. I am using Simon Says stamp Positively Saturated inks. This is cherry. I'm also going to be using lemonade and zest. I'm using the mini blender brushes. I'm trying, even though these images are small, I'm trying to get a little bit of detail on this card, so some lighter and darker areas. I don't think I was super successful. I did think maybe I should have got my detail blender brushes from like the Stamp Market and went that way, but I just opted to use this small one. But either way, this is a really cute way to create a background. I love layering stencils. I love it with coordinating dies or stamps or whatever. I just think that is way too much fun. So I'm glad that she had this in her collection. So now I'm on to stencil number 2. I'm just trying to make sure everything is lining up good. And I could have used the grip mat from Waffle Flower. I just wasn't even thinking, you guys, honestly. And I had that stencil upside down because I'm like, why isn't it fitting? So if your stencil's not fitting, it's upside down. The numbers, because it is numbered 1 through 6, the numbers should be on the bottom, and that will tell you that it's correct. And I just wasn't even paying attention. So I am using Zest, this for these smaller flowers. And there's 2 different types of flowers on this stencil. So I'm using Zest, and then I will bring in Lemonade for the other smaller flowers. You could just do it with one color if you wanted, but I just wanted to do it this way. Let's bring in the next set of flowers. So 3 stencils are going to stencil your flowers, and 3 stencils will stencil your leaves. So here's the lemonade. I'm just going to do that on all of these flowers on this stencil and get this really fun color combination. I like red and yellow together. I think it's just cheerful and kind of bright and fun. Then for the greens, I'm using Fairway and Perfection. And like I said, there's 3 stencils for this. So I just was kind of paying attention to what the leaves look like and kind of keeping similar leaves, inking the same. You also could go lighter on one of the sets of leaves with, if you're using the same color of ink, you could go a little bit lighter and then a little bit heavier on the different set of leaves, and that will also give it a different look. This does go pretty quick. On these leaves, I'm starting at the base of the leaves, adding a little bit of darker ink there, and then blending out lighter towards the tips of the leaves. And then let's do our final stencil here. So I used Perfection and Fairway inks. Okay, so I'm doing all of my backgrounds right now, and then we will put the cards together. So this is the Celebrate Flowers Better Press plate, and in this you have this little acetate guide that you're going to tape down to the base of your Better Press system. This has two different color lines that shows you where you're going to line up each one of the plates, because there's two plates in this that you are going to be inking up and stamping separately. So I'm lining up this first one. I'm going to add a piece of my cardstock to the top plate of the Better Press system, and then I'm inking this up with kind of a teal color. I do have, again, everything listed and linked below, and these inks come in a little 4-pack, and I don't remember what the 4-pack is called, but I do have those listed in the description. I'm going to run this through my Platinum 6 die cut machine, and when I take the lid off, we have our first image stamped. I am going to leave my paper there. Do not move your paper. Take off the other plate. Now I'm putting the second plate on and lining it up in its little registration lines on that acetate guide. I'm inking this up with like a yellowy, green, an orange, and a pink color. And I'm going to ink up these different images so we can have multiple colors. Then I can place my plate back on top, run this through the die cut machine, my Platinum 6 die cut machine, and then when we peel it back, now we have all of our images stamped on here. Thankfully, that little guide lined us up perfectly. Okay, let's do the Peony background. What I really liked about this background plate is that what you're going to be stamping is the negative space between the flowers, which I think is really a lot of fun. So I am going to use 3 different colors of blue on this and just let them blend into each other, because I want this to be just kind of a joyful card. I originally thought I was going to use the gray Thunder ink, but I ended up not using that. So I'm going to use that same minty kind of green blue that I used on that previous image before. Then there is like an aqua and then a blue. And I'm going to let these colors overlap just a little bit, but here you can see you're stamping on that background. You do get some of the lines of the flowers, and it's just so delicate and pretty. You also could stamp this with a black or a gray or any color solid ink and then color your flowers. I'm not coloring the flowers because I really liked how it looked, just having the background colored and that be colorful, if I'm making any sense. I'm putting my plate on top and then running that through my die cut machine, and then we can peel it back and we have this really fun background. Now this is the Let's Celebrate sentiments. I am going to just pick out the sentiments for these first 3 cards because I don't even have an idea of what I'm doing on the second 3. I just thought if I just do this in a chunk of 3, then it's easier to go about it mentally and figuring out my designs and things like that. So, and I actually did this in 2 separate days. So I'm inking these up, most of those sentiments with a gray ink, and then one of the sentiments is going to be a pink ink. I am trying to line up the ones that are straight, that don't have coordinating dies, with the grid on the back. So that way it's nice and straight, and it makes it easier for when I'm going to trim those sentiments out with my paper trimmer. The other more scripty ones do have coordinating dies to die cut those with. So I'm going to use those. I'm going to tape that in place with some low tack tape. I can run that through my die cut machine, die cut out those 2 sentiments, and then the other ones I will trim out with my paper trimmer. So one says celebrate, or let's celebrate. The other one says anniversary, and then I have happy birthday, and then the other one says congratulations, we're so very proud of you. So I'm going to use a 3D embossing folder. This is the Tile Reflections 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. I just wanted to add a little something extra to that card where we're inking the background. That was the Peony background. You don't have to do that if you want to leave it. I just wanted to add a little something extra, some extra texture to it. So that's why I did it that way. I did trim it down slightly smaller than an A2 size card base. I'm going to adhere it to a white card base and then add that pink happy anniversary sentiment right in the center. This is a super simple card, but I think it's really pretty. I love the images, and then I love the texture of the 3D embossing folder. And as you guys know, I love my sentiments to have some dimension, so I'm using some foam adhesive on the background. This is from scrapbook.com, and I love this foam adhesive. It is so easy to work with, and there's different sizes, and it's fantastic. Okay, and I am using the Essential Stylish oval dies from Spellbinders. I'm going to die cut this piece right in the center, and I'm making sure it's in the center because I'm going to use the negative piece as well. So I want that oval to be popped up in the center. This is going to be like our centerpiece for our card. I'm also going to use some vellum. I'm going to trim a piece of that down A2 sized. That is going to go over that background piece. So I want it to soften that piece, and this is going to go on top, and it'll be just a bit brighter. I can adhere this to a white A2 size card base. I'm going to put my tape runner all over the whole background. My acetate will adhere from the center because that has the adhesive right there. So I could just press that down, and both pieces are adhered down nicely to the card base. Then that oval piece, I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind that because I want that to be popped up. And for the sentiments, I am using the Let's Celebrate. Congratulations, we're so very proud of you. I am making sure I do have it in the right direction because I do want the flowers to run seamlessly into each other, even though that centerpiece is popped up. Let's put our sentiments right in the center. Again, some foam adhesive. The sentiment strip, I am not going to add foam adhesive behind. I just want the Let's Celebrate to be popped up, but I am going to just gently tuck that under. And then we have this really nice, good sentiment right in the center of that card. This last one, I am using the Fluted Classics ovals from Spellbinders. Something about this card kind of screamed this different kind of oval. I'm going to call it a squoval because that's kind of what it looks like to me. Probably because I was a nail tech and that was a description of a type of nail tip. But that's what it looks like to me. I am going to use another 3D embossing folder for the background. This is the 4 petal florals. This is going to be basically on the 4 corners because it is A2 sized. So when I pop that into the center there, you're just going to see a little bit of embossing, but I like that little extra detail, and I think it's so easy to get that kind of detail with embossing folders. And it's just kind of a no-brainer because you can use any colored cardstock, and then you have all of this beautiful texture and interest going on your card. Let me know what you guys think so far of this release of hers. Again, this is only 3 cards. I'm going to do the second 3 here pretty quick. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. On this Celebrate card, I put the Happy Birthday sentiment. I am using Studio Katya's crystal clear confetti. I will also be using gold foil and gold fever confetti along with pastel rainbow confetti, all from Studio Katya. That's what I'm going to be using on these cards. So I'm going to add, I think this is the gold. Oh, what is this? This is the gold foil confetti, I believe. So I'm going to add these around. I've said this before, but I love these. I love having different sizes of sequins and confetti. I feel like for me, it makes adding it to the card so much easier when there's different sizes. This is the pastel rainbow. I thought that would be fun on this background because it's got this fun greens and blues and pinks. And so I thought it would be, I thought it would make sense to add that to this card panel. What I think is interesting about this one is the further it is away from your face, the more you see the flowers, and the closer it is, the more you see the 3D embossing. And I think that's just kind of fun and interesting. So let's take a look at these up close. These are the first 3. I think that one turned out so pretty. I love those colors. I love the stenciling on this and then just softening that with the vellum. What a fun better press plate. But I think this one's my favorite out of the 3. I just thought it was fun to be able to stamp 2 images. Okay, let's get going on our second set of cards. I'm actually starting with a stamp set that is from Simon Hurley. This is his Paint Swatches stamp set. This is the largest image in that stamp. I'm going to be using Cantaloupe, Sherbet, and Melon inks from Simon Says Stamp. I want to go from light to dark with this color combination on my background. So I'm starting with the light on the far right there. Then in the middle, the medium color, and then the darker color on the other end. I am using my blender brush to kind of soften the edges in between. And this is one of those techniques that you need to stamp it a few times to really kind of get a good seamless transfer in between each of the colors. And then once this ink dries into that cardstock, it looks even better. So I'm just kind of stamping the colors that I think need to be and just going with it that way, blending it so there's no like sharp edges. So that's why I'm using my blender brush on the stamp itself. So I'm going to clean that off. But I love how this looked. I love that image, and that color combination is so fun. We are going to be using the wax seal stamp Let's Celebrate. I am using the teal wax melts. I think that's what it's called. That's in the description. It's got a light, a dark teal, and then a gold. I'm doing it on my work surface. The first time I did it, I did not have enough wax, so I had to redo it. But I'm going to trim the edges of this just to get it a little bit cleaner. Not that it has to be perfect, but this is going to be part of our sentiment on this background. I did trim that background smaller than an A2 size. Now I will say these last 3 cards on accident happened to be all of the same color combination. It wasn't on purpose, but I was in love with it, and so I just went with it. I have some of this gold, it's kind of twine thread, like thicker thread, in my craft room. I use it a lot on cards. I'm just going to wrap this around multiple times. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue, and then I'm just using some low tack tape to hold it in place. And then we can flip that over. But I love oranges, corally pinks, melon colors. I love all of that. And I love it with teal. So that's why I think I just loved this color combination so much. I just had to do it. I add some foam adhesive squares and a little bit of liquid glue on the back of that wax stamp image. And then I'm using some Prima flowers from scrapbook.com. They're little kind of peach and teal ones. And so I'm just going to use 3 of those. I was watching SBC Fest when I was making this card. And so someone was doing, I can't remember her name, but she was creating a mixed media tag that had all of these beautiful Prima flowers. And I'm like, I have some. And so I thought I'm going to use it on this card, and it turned out beautifully. So I'm glad I did that. I'm going to adhere this to a piece of aquamarine cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse, using that as a little mat. And just like the other cards, I'm going to get all of this together, and then we will add the sentiments. And of course, this is going to have some foam adhesive because I think dimension is just awesome. And I really feel like most every single card needs it. I'm going to place that in the center of my card base, and then we can get on to the next card. So this is the Peony Celebration die. So you have a background piece that I actually ended up not using. It's like a shadow piece, and I did not use it. I'm just using the die. But for this background, which is going to be part of the flower, I am just going to do some ink smooshing. I am using, let's see, melon and sherbet, I believe, are the two colors that I used. And then I'm drying it in between. I am not getting the ink super wet, which is why it's giving this more, I don't know, splotchy look, but I am all in on this. I love how it looks. Actually, I think I did all three inks. I think I did melon, cantaloupe, and sherbet. Then I'm going to add a little bit of, I think it's seafoam ink, just a little bit of that on the background. I wanted to bring in a little bit of that teal. My original thought was, when I was die cutting these, I wanted the teal to be part of the leaves, and I wasn't paying attention completely to the die, that it doesn't work that way, and I'll show you why. The leaves die cut solid, where the flowers, you can inlay the images. So I'll show you what I mean here in just a little bit. But I actually really like this background. So I only planned on making one card with this die, but once I die cut this out, I'm like, I can get 2 cards out of it. So we're going to get 2 cards out of this. I'm going to tape that die in the center in place. I'm not going to pop it out of my cardstock because there's tons of little pieces that I don't want to have to inlay back in. But I do want this popped up with foam tape. So I am adding foam tape on the back, making sure that I cover at least part of every single piece that can pop out, if that makes sense. So there's going to be an outline piece and then all of your little pieces inside that can pop out. I don't want them popping out right now. I want those to stay in place. So I'm just adding foam adhesive onto the back here. You could also do just like some low tack tape if you wanted to hold it in place and you don't want foam adhesive. Then I die cut again and popped out all of those little center pieces from white cardstock and then from a gold glitter cardstock, because I wasn't sure if I wanted a white outline or a gold glitter, but I went with gold glitter. So this is the back side of that, and I am adding my glue. But you can see the leaves here are solid and not an outline. So it really didn't matter where I lined up my leaves when I did that image. So I'm going to adhere this on top. And I just love that you can see that fun inked background. I think it's so pretty. But again, I do have that other white piece. And so we are going, that other white top piece here that has the outline, we're going to be using that along with the base that we die cut from. But let's finish up this card. I'm using some more of that aquamarine cardstock. I'm cutting 1/4 inch strips, and then I'm cutting 1/4 inch strip of that gold glitter cardstock. I'm taping my card panel down where it's straight so I can line it up with the grid on my mat here. And I'm going to adhere these down. I want to leave a little bit of white space. I'm just eyeballing it. Sorry, my head's in the way. I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue, and I noticed I had something in my hair too. I don't know if it was a scrap piece of paper that flew. I have no idea, but that's kind of funny. Okay, let's trim the excess off. And then because we already have all that foam tape behind our floral image, I can just peel back all of that release paper and then just place this on. Once I'm done with all these cards, I would love for you guys to tell me what your favorite product was and what your favorite card design was. And I will let you guys know at the end what I think too. Okay, so we got that in place. Now we are going to make a shaker card with these leftover 2 pieces that I didn't need. So I'm adding some liquid glue, some tape runner, a piece of acetate from scrapbook.com. I'm going to put that on the back here, and then I can trim the excess off. And in that opening, we are going to add that white outlined area from the coordinating, or from the die, excuse me. So I'm going to add some liquid glue behind the leaves itself, and then a little bit of liquid glue on the outside edges, carefully to not do too much glue on top of that acetate. And then I can just place this right inside, and now we have this really beautiful image on that really fun background. So this is going to make a wonderful shaker card. I am using, again, scrapbook.com's adhesive strips, and I am folding 2 together because 2 high is going to give you the right amount of space so all of your shaker bits can move and shake freely. And I'm going to make sure that all my ends are touching each other with the adhesive so nothing falls out. Now what I've also should have done was add some foam adhesive to the outside edges of the card. I did not do that. I wasn't even thinking. I ended up having to come in a little bit later, and I did off camera and added a little bit of foam adhesive under those edges. I am going to add in the center Studio Katya's gold foil, gold fever, and crystal clear confetti inside of this. Just a little bit of everything because I think it's so pretty. And then I can adhere my white card base on the back. And I'm going to press that down really good. And then we have this fantastic shaker. Now I'm not going to show you guys again stamping the sentiments. I did stamp 3 more sentiments using that Let's Celebrate sentiment Better Press plate. This one says Happy Mother's Day. That had a coordinating die. This one's going to say Happy Birthday. And then the shaker card says Happy Mother's Day. So now I'm going to tell you my favorite card is the one on the right, the Happy Mother's Day. It's got the die cut flowers and the stripes. That's my favorite card. My favorite or my runner up is the Celebrate, where we got to stamp 2 different stamps with that acetate guide. I think that was just really fun. I liked that. So I think those 2 are my favorites, even though I love them all and I think they're all beautiful, and I think this is a wonderful collection. So you guys let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this collection in the comments. Then we can take a look at this. Oh no, wait, we're not done yet. Hold on, everybody. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's add, this is the gold fever confetti that I'm going to add to this card. This is the only one I'm going to add the sequence to out of these 3 because I think the other 2 are fine how they are, but I love that shaker card, and I think that background turned out so pretty. This one I think is fun. I think using the wax melt and the little wax seal stamp Let's Celebrate, I think that's darling. And of course this die is beautiful, and I think this card turned out great. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, or all of these projects. I hope that you feel inspired. I hope that I was able to give you a tip or something that, you know, is helpful for you in your crafting. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye.